Howdy, buckaroos. This your old pal Gabby Hayes, coming at you with another one of them rip-roaring western yarns. You're darn tootin'. Yes, sirree, Bob. Yeah. Thought I seen a mosquito flying over there a couple of miles. No, I guess not. If it was there, I'd see it all right. You know, us Hayeses has got great eyesight. Say, talking about eyesight kind of reminds me of an old uncle of mine. Eagle Eye Hayes, he was known as. There's a man that had real eyesight, four-way eyesight. Yes, sir. He could see 4 ways at one time, east, west, north, and south, and when he was feeling good, up and down at the same time. Yes, sir. Well, of course, he would never worry about walking across the street and getting hit by traffic because he could see it coming both ways. Well, anyway, one time he was playing a ball game and there was an eagle flying around bothering the ball players, you know, swooping down like this and up and down. And it come turn for my uncle to come up to bat. And he got up and he hit that ball the darndest smack you ever seen in your life. Well, it flew right through the air and just skimmed the top of that eagle's head, knocked all the feathers off, and kept on going for a home run. You want to know something? That eagle turned out to be the first bald eagle the world has ever known. Yes, sir. Well, our yarn today begins when Marshal Eddie Dean is sent out to investigate one murder, and before you could say Gabby Hayes, he runs smack dab into another one.
What's this I heard about Big Walt Jarvis, Sheriff?
Somebody dry-ghosted him on his way home from town. This young fella brought the body in.
Did you see him dry ghost?
I did.
What did the killer look like?
I didn't get a look at his face, but he's wearing store clothes.
Well, that description could fit a lot of people around here.
That's what I was saying when you walked in.
How do we know he didn't do it?
Did you take a look at his gun?
One of them's been fired within the past few hours.
I fired it in the air a couple of times to warn Jarvis.
Just passing through here?
Could be.
What's your name?
Eddie Dean. But what's it to you?
You're in for a heap of trouble, Dean. I'm just trying to help you out.
What kind of trouble?
Now, look here, Mr. Dean. A man we all respected has been killed for no apparent reason. Naturally, you being a stranger, you're under suspicion.
And you don't tell a very clear story.
He's probably lying. Let's show him what we do to killers.
Here, hold it. Break it up. Break it up. Break it up. Hold it. Now get this straight, Barney. I'm pumping lead into the first one of these starts any trouble around here. Now get out. I'll take your guns, Dean.
Your friends don't seem to like me very well.
Barney just likes to feel important. I'm gonna have to lock you up until we get this straightened out.
Did you hear about Big Walt Jarvis?
Yeah, I heard he got shot. Who did it?
Well, the sheriff's holding a fella named Dean.
You think he's guilty?
Well, he might be and he might not. It all depends.
Well, what do folks in town think?
Well, they think he's guilty.
Poor old Walt. He followed his brother Jim to the grave in less than 6 months. Too bad. A couple of fine gentlemen if I ever saw any. And just to think that neither one of them ever knew what their property was really worth.
How about Mary Ann?
Well, now that her father and uncle are both gone, I don't know anything in the world that'll make her want to stay on that ranch. Well, I guess as the family lawyer, it's up to me to break the news to her. Much as I hate to, but you have to take the bad along with the good. In case Mary Ann does decide to sacrifice her ranch, Can you raise the money in a hurry?
I've already got it.
It's about your Uncle Walt, Marianne. Oh, I'd sooner take a beating than to bring you such bad news.
What is it, Mr. Gunnison?
He was shot, ambushed.
He isn't dead, is he?
Yes, Marianne, he was killed instantly. Oh, come, my dear. You must get hold of yourself.
This ranch has brought nothing but trouble and sorrow. I want you to sell it right away. I don't want to stay here any longer than I have to.
Well, naturally, I'll try if you insist.
I do insist.
Yes, my dear, but you must understand, it's not easy to dispose of a ranch of this size. It might take some time to find a buyer.
I don't care what I get for it, just sell it.
I assure you, I'll do the very best I can for you. Now, how's everything coming, Judd?
Well, sir, the further I dig, the richer it gets. There's $1 million worth of ore in that hill, or my name ain't Judd Grimes.
I'll keep right on. In a few days, we'll have everything set. Do you need any supplies?
No, Barney Foster was up last night and brought me everything I need.
What'd you find, Sheriff?
I found the rifle shell behind the rock in the place where the killer tied his horse. Your story seems to check pretty straight, Dean.
Couldn't check any other way.
You know, I'm puzzled. I can't figure out why anybody'd want to kill Jim and Walt Jarvis.
When you find out why they were killed, you'll probably know who did the killing.
You seem to know a lot about this sort of thing, Dean.
I make it my business to keep my eyes and ears open.
As soon as Eddie cleared himself with the sheriff, he did two things. First was to get a job on Mary Ann's ranch, and the second was to call on her lawyer when he knew he'd be out.
Hello, Dean. Still around town, I see.
Any reason why I shouldn't be?
No, I guess not. You still in the market to buy the Jarvis Ranch?
Too big a proposition for my pocketbook. Something should be done about it, though. So I came to talk to you.
What do you mean?
I'm sure the Jarvis brothers weren't murdered for nothing.
And,
It's likely the same party or parties might be aiming to do away with Miss Jarvis, too.
oh, nonsense.
Not as foolish as it may sound.
Do you know anything, Dean? If you do, in heaven's name, tell me. Why, if anything should happen to Mary Ann...
I don't know a thing, but I've got a hunch
What sort of a hunch?
that somebody's so anxious to grab off the Jarvis spread that they'll stop at nothing.
Well, what do you suggest?
Well, I talked Mary Ann out of selling the place. Now I think the more miles she puts between herself and this locality, the better off she'll be.
Well, why don't you talk her into leaving, then?
I'm not in very good standing right now.
Oh, I see. And you want me to do what I can about it, huh?
I'd appreciate it.
All right, Dean. I'll see Mary Ann tonight.
Thanks. Have a cigar?
Don't mind if I do.
I'll tell Miss Jarvis to expect you tonight.
Thanks. I'll be there.
Hiya, fellas.
Hi, Eddie.
Say, what's going on between you and the boss?
What do you mean?
Things must be getting pretty serious when she takes to writing your notes. I've mailed too many of those to a kinfolk in the East not to know one of Miss Jarvis's letters.
What makes you think it's for me?
It is lying on your pillow.
Well, looks like Miss Jarvis has gone and gotten herself kidnapped.
Kidnapped? If you want to save Miss Jarvis from death, come to the abandoned shack alone and bring $1,000. Signed a friend.
What'll we do?
Go up to the shack and save her.
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? If she wrote that note, that means she's in trouble.
She wrote this note. That means she kidnapped herself.
Why would she do that?
She wouldn't.
All right, if you want to be heroes, go ahead and rescue her.
You're darn tootin' we will. Ain't you coming along?
No, I'll be here to laugh at you when you get back.
Just sign this.
Why? What is it?
It's a bill of sale and a deed to your ranch. Mr. Foster here's buying it.
Oh, no, he isn't. Not my ranch. I told you I didn't intend to sell. So if that's why you've brought me here, I'll be going.
Not until you sign those papers.
I'll never sign them.
You better do it while we're inclined to be gentle and friendly.
Now's the time to send your men up to the shack and then come back here. I want you to look after her while I take the ransom note into the sheriff. You see, Marianne, that ransom note is a perfect alibi for getting you and Dean out of the way.
What do you mean?
Oh, it's all so simple. Dean came here, shot your uncle, and kidnapped you. And then he murdered you. Foster and I uncovered his dirty work. We tried to capture Dean, but he made a break for it, so we had to shoot him.
If I thought you had one speck of honesty in your heart, I'd sign that bill of sale, providing you promise to leave Dean alone.
You have my word.
You have no word, Mr. Gunnison.
This time, Eddie had the situation pretty well sized up. The only thing he guessed wrong was about Mary Ann's kidnapping, and it almost was her finish.
You can see for yourself, Sheriff, that sack carries the name Kane National Bank of Kansas City. And the packages in Gunderson's safe were all crisp new bills.
The first time you know it was Gunnison was when he struck the match.
The left-handed business was approved, and this sack of money tied the whole thing up.
You say you found a shoulder holster rigged for a left-handed man.
That's right.
You ought to brought all that here.
I figured I'd leave the rest intact so we could find it in the safe as evidence. I thought I'd have a better chance if I didn't advertise I'm a U.S. Marshal.
Partner, you sure sold this case up.
As soon as I find out how things are at the ranch, I'll go out and have a session with Barney Foster.
In the meantime, I'll pick up Gunnison.
Can you imagine that, Eddie? The only chance I've ever had to use my gun, and I just plumb forgot it.
That was Gunnison, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he tried to dry gulch you. And another thing, that kidnapping of Mary Ann is no fake, brother, and she's in plenty of trouble.
How do you know the kidnapping is the real thing?
Well, Charlie got all shot up when he and the boys went down to the shack and had a gunfight with Foster's men.
I got a hunch I haven't time to get Bob and the boys. If Mary Ann's in Foster's hands, she's really in danger.
Yeah. Hey, Foster! We gotta clear out of here.
What's wrong?
Everything. Get rid of the men. We haven't a moment to lose.
What about the girl?
Oh, we'll take her with us. Oh, Annie! Oh.
There's no one in there but one of the hands, and he's dead.
I guess it didn't have Mary Ann here after all.
Oh, yes, it did. I found her handkerchief inside. They must have headed into those hills. You stay here and keep your eye on that dead man.
Yeah, I'll stay here and keep my eye on the... Hey, Annie! He ain't going anywhere!
Hold it, Ben! Look! It's Dean!
Well, our young friend Eddie Dean sure sewed that situation up, didn't he, huh? Yes, sir. Speaking of sewing, that reminds me of an old aunt of mine. Iron Thread Annie, they called her. There was the greatest woman with a needle and thread you ever laid your eyes on. Was nothing for her to make old 70 or 80 dresses in a day and throw in 15, 20 suits of clothes at the same time. That is, if she wasn't in a hurry, she'd do that. Well, one time she was sewing on something. She was sitting in the sitting room sewing away, and she happened to look out the window, and she seen a bunch of bandits coming. Well, you know, she'd worked awful hard all her life and saved her money, and she had a bunch of valuable jewels. So she was a quick thinker, grabbed a piece of cloth, you know, put all the jewels in there, sewed them up and throwed them out the window. Well, there was a couple of young ones out there playing, and they seen it, and they started to throw it back and forth. Cool, naturally, when the bandits got there, they couldn't find anything. All they saw was these two kids out there playing the first beanball game the world has ever known. Oh, yeah. Well, I reckon that's just about all for today, buckaroos. But I'll be back next week with another rip-roaring Western yarn. You're darn tootin'. Yes, sirree, Bob.